candidate for president is physically afraid of the party's base.
I want to talk about Mitt Romney. I want to have some fun here, right? Nothing too depressing. I just want to talk about some history, some recent history. And man, do I feel like I'm getting old when I think about an event that happened in my lifetime that I grew up around, right? And it's actually a part of actual relevant history. If you're younger than me, this is an important thing to realize because this has an actual credible effect on where you stand and what kind of powers you have as an American citizen today. You see, as an American citizen, one of the things that there's been a multitude of studies on is that your opinion, your feelings, the majority of our feelings, do not show in Congress. Like, we don't affect the policies at all. In fact, what actually affects policy most of the time is money, right? Whether that be lobbyists straight up writing out the policies and then the politicians just signing on to it, or, the companies and organizations donating massive amounts of monies to these particular political figures so that they can get political favor. Now, as corrupt and messed up as that is, how did we get there? And this is where media comes into play, and why I'm always saying, don't trust media. Media is not your friend. Because one of the most level-headed and easy to respect, but not quite respectable, candidates that have ever run, right, under the Republican flag is Mitt Romney. But what did he do? Why am I talking about Mitt Romney? Well, Mitt Romney is famous for two particular phrases. The first one being is, money is speech. And then the second one being, corporations are people. Through these two statements and the way that he propagandized it and others propagandized it, right, they were able to convince the American people to allow something horrible to happen. And that was unrestricted access to politicians by corporations through campaign financing and donations and stuff like that, right? By them being able to put incredible amounts of money into the political system, they basically said, and got us to agree, well, some of us to agree, give the keys to these guys. Because the idea of representative government, right, is that you are supposed to have an equal vote, an equal share. But that's not quite how it works, because in the end of the day, you only have your opinion. You don't have the power to influence others. Yeah, you can influence those in your particular circle, in your particular bubble, and you could become a person with a platform or a celebrity, and then you might have some extra sway in, people's political spectrum. But that's not real power, that's not real influence in comparison to the campaign ads, right? And the news cycle, right? Even people watch the news, especially during the election time, that's where they're getting the bulk of their information, and they're getting the bulk of their opinion from the people who represent the news. But one of the things that he trumpeted, right, was the allowance that these large corporations could essentially use their money as speech by funneling that money into our political system and using that to influence us directly. Because at the end of the day, corporations are made up of people, and people have opinions, and it's the people's opinions that we want to see in Congress. But we live in the reality. We see exactly how that played out. All that did was allow us to be assured, right, that all of these political powers that exist could continue to get incredible amounts of money from these corporations. But corporations aren't people, because the individuals that make up the corporations are the ones who do the voting. The corporations, when they funnel money into these political groups and such, well, what they're doing is they're influencing massive amounts of people in an instant. And it's not the opinion of their collective, it's the opinion of the people who are in charge of the money, which are generally the heads of that particular company, which are far fewer than the company itself. So on the surface, what he was saying was BS. But today, as you continue to exist and live in a world where you don't see your political opinion reach the political environment, right, and you're wondering why, you have guys like Mitt Romney to thank and people like Obama to regale against, because he did nothing to undo that, right? And a lot of the people who become these political figures and become politically powerful are all invested in that particular system. So, yeah, thanks, Mitt Romney. And the scariest and saddest thing is Mitt Romney is one of the least extreme, least problematic of the current modern day Republican Party.